Hi students, welcome to PhD Jobs and Admission. This is Gauri. So in today's session, I am going to teach you about Pondicherry University's PhD entrance test research methodology subject. And in today's session, we are going to see sampling in research methodology in detail by using MCQs. There are lots of sampling techniques like probability sampling technique, non-probability sampling technique, but apart from that, there are some definitions about sampling techniques and its characteristic. So on this topic also in PhD entrance test, almost 3 to 4 MCQs they will ask you. That's why I have covered this topic in detail by using MCQs. After viewing this session, your doubts relevant to this topic will get clear, your concepts will get clear. That's why all of you students have to watch this session until the end. Okay? So students, now let us begin with this session. As you know that there is PhD entrance test at Pondicherry University on 12th and 13th August, and that's why all of you have only minimum days to prepare for PhD entrance test and to qualify the PhD entrance test. So in this PhD entrance test, they will ask you 50% MCQs on research methodology and 50% MCQs on concerned subject. So students, if you want to qualify the PhD entrance test, then you need to score 50% marks. And to qualify this PhD entrance test, we provide research methodology complete course. By using this course, all the students can guaranteed score 50% marks in research methodology itself, and they can qualify the PhD entrance test. In this, we provide full syllabus video lectures under which theory and MCQ lecture series are available. We provide full syllabus notes and mock tests. We have 10 mock tests and each mock test contains 40 MCQs. That's why overall all of you can solve 400 MCQs. After solving the mock test, you can understand your preparation level. We provide more than 1500 MCQs revision PDF and more than 100 solved PYQs PDF. By solving this PDF, you can revise all of your topics in a single PDF, and you will get 80% MCQs from these PDFs only out of 100% MCQs in the research methodology section of the PhD entrance test. And PYQs is really very important because most of the MCQs under PYQs are going to be asked repetitively in the PhD entrance test. So whenever you solve all of these PYQs, obviously you can prepare very well. Okay. So students, this study material is available in both the languages, that is Hindi and English. So if you want to buy the complete course, then you can either download the Global Online app by from the Play Store. For that I have given the link in the description box of this video, or else you can contact me through the WhatsApp numbers that I have shown on the screen. The course fees are only 699, and in this low fees we provide guaranteed selection to all the candidates. The topics that I have mentioned on the screen, on all of these topics they will ask you MCQs under research methodology section, and that's why I have completed all of these topics in a complete course. Okay, so students, this research methodology complete course is nothing but a research methodology revision package which will be really very helpful to all the students so that they can guaranteed qualify the PhD entrance test. Okay, so students, basically whenever you buy the complete course, okay, so from buying day until your PhD admission to the university, we provide the proper guidance to all the students. Okay.
Question 1 is, for the study of any population, sampling is conducted because it is dash. So basically students, whenever a researcher wants to study any population, then for studying that particular population, he does the sampling. Sampling means what? Taking out some samples from the population for the study. And why we do this? Okay, why this is essential? What is the reason behind it? So whether it is expensive, whether it is difficult, whether it is time efficient, or whether it is biased. So students, whenever you see these options, then you will understand that whenever some technique is expensive, then why a researcher will use it, right? Then it will be a disadvantage for him. So this will get eliminated. Whenever a technique is difficult, then obviously no one follow it. Okay, whenever a technique is easy, then obviously one can follow it, and that's why this option also is the disadvantage. So this option gets eliminated. And as well, whenever there is a bias technique, then because of that there will be unethical issues in the research, and that's why no one want this. So this again gets eliminated as it is disadvantageous, and that's why your correct answer should be 3, because over here time efficient is one of the advantage of sampling technique, because a researcher can study whole population at a time, because it includes lot of participants, and that's why it will require a lot of time and funding for a researcher to study all the participants in the target population. And that's why he uses sampling technique, so that he can properly select some samples from the population which are the representative of the whole population, and it will be time efficient, and as well researcher does not does not want lots of funding. So your correct answer should be 3 over here. Next, what is a sample called if it represents one or few characteristics of the population more than the others? So whenever we select a sample, okay, from the target population, and whenever that particular sample represents one or more than that characteristics of the population, okay, more than the other samples, okay, then what such kind of sample is called? Whether it is called as good sample, bad sample, biased sample, ineffective sample. So students, such samples are called as biased samples, because it has more than one characteristics of the population, okay, than the other samples, okay, because it means that researchers selectively selected such samples, okay, because they have these characteristics, and researcher over here has not randomly selected the samples, and researcher has done biased over here, and that's why this sample has been selected, okay, and that's why it is called as the biased sample, okay.
So students, we provide Pondicherry University PhD entrance test paper to study material also. By using this study material, all the students can guaranteed score more marks in paper 2, that is in concerned subject. In this, we provide full syllabus notes and MCQs. In the MCQ section, we provide most expected MCQs and PYQs. By solving these MCQs and PYQs, all the candidates can score more marks in paper 2. So the subjects that I have mentioned on the screen, on all of these subjects, we provide paper to study material currently. If you want study material for any other subject, then you can ask me in the comment box. Paper to study material fees are only 999, and in this low fees we provide guaranteed selection to all the candidates, okay. To join our courses, you can contact me through the WhatsApp only, the numbers that I have shown on this screen. So students, this paper to study material is really helpful to qualify the PhD entrance test obviously, and also to qualify the interview session, because examiners will ask you a lot of questions about your concerned topic in interview session. So you can do the inquiry for paper 2 also, and it is really helpful for your guaranteed selection, okay.
Why are sampling triads important in sampling? So within the sampling technique, why sampling triads means sampling characteristics are important. So first of all, they help us in deciding the sample size. They help us to differentiate between useless units and useful units, or they form the basis of the research questions, or they are the deciding factor in the inclusion of a unit in the sample. So basically students, the characteristics of samples are really most important things, because these characteristics of the samples are the representative of the target population, and that's why because of these characteristics only we select the samples from the target population, and that's why this would be the deciding factor, okay. Based on that factor, basically we decide whether we want to select that particular sample in our study or not, and that's why it is very important in sampling, and that's why your correct answer should be 4, because they are the deciding factor in the inclusion of a unit in the sample, okay. Which of the following is true about sampling? Now here they have given us some statements regarding sampling, and we need to identify the true statement about sampling. So whether it is sample is a part of population, sampling saves time, money and energy, Sampling helps in estimating sampling error. All of the above. So students, the correct answer over here is all of the above, because basically sample is a part of population, because samples are the units that we actually select from the population itself, and that's why obviously sample is a part of population. So this statement is true. Again, as I have told you earlier in this video, that because of sampling, researcher can save lot of amount of time, as well researcher can save lots of money and as well energy. Okay, that's why this again statement is true about sampling. And as well, sampling helps in estimating sampling error. Basically sampling error causes because of the mistakenly chosen a wrong sample size, and as well whenever we use wrong sampling methods, then again because of that sampling error occurs, and we are going to see in detail in the next part of this video, so don't worry. But basically sampling actually helps us in estimating the sampling error itself. That's why this statement is again correct about this. That's why your correct answer should be 4, because all of these statements are true about sampling. Next is sampling cases means. Now what is the meaning of sampling cases? Okay, so whether it is sampling using a sampling frames, whether it is identifying people who are suitable for research, whether it is literally the researcher's briefcase, or whether it is sampling of people, newspapers, television programs, etc. So basically students, you need to think about these words, sampling and cases. So sampling means, sampling techniques means we are selecting samples from the population, right? What are cases? Basically cases means what? Cases means particular people, individual. Okay, cases can be anything, incident, any objects. Okay, that's why sampling cases means the case that we have selected as a sample, okay, from the target population. So basically it could be anything, it could be a person, it could be people, it could be any kind of objects. Okay, and that's why your correct answer should be over here 4, because sampling of people, sampling of newspapers, sampling of television programs, sampling of incidents, sampling of certain objects, so these are the sampling cases. Okay, next, the aggregate of all the units pertaining to a study is called. So whenever you do the total of all the units which is relevant to a study, okay, basically to a research study, so what we call it as, whether we call it as population or universe, or whether we call it as unit, or whether we call it as sample, or whether we call it as frame. So basically students, it is called as the population or universe, because population comprises of all the units, right, which includes it, right, or universe includes all the units which are actually basically the part of the universe, right? And that's why whole population or whole universe includes all the units which are relevant to a research study. So whenever you aggregate all these units, then obviously you will form a whole population or universe. That's why your correct answer should be 1. Next, dash refers to those elements from which samples are specifically chosen or selected for research. So from which type of population basically we choose samples for research. So whether it is finite population, whether it is target population, whether it is infinite population, whether it is sampling population. So obviously students, now all of you understood that the correct answer should be second, that is target population. Okay, so understand over here that whenever a researcher wants to study any kind of a population, then that population would be a target population for that researcher, because a researcher only intends to target that population only, and researcher wants to only study on that population, not other population. All of you getting? And that's why it would be a target population for that specific researcher, and from the target population basically researcher selects some samples for the study. Okay, what is exactly finite population? Finite population means we know the number of participants in the population, which has finite number of people in the population. What is infinite population? Infinite population includes infinite amount of people. We don't know the exact number of people in that population. What is sampling population? Sampling population is again the population, okay, which actually includes the samples for the study, but basically the concept is that target population refers to those elements from which samples are specifically chosen or selected for research, not from the sampling population. So try to understand, students, and that's why your correct answer should be 2, that is target population. Next is a member of the population is called. Now a particular member of the population is called what? Whether it is called as element, data, family, group. So now all of you understood that whenever there is a member of the population, then obviously it is either called as a unit or element, and that's why your correct answer should be 1. Okay, the population to be sampled is divided into units which are known as. Okay, so whenever a population that would be sampled in future, okay, is divided into different kinds of units, so what are those called as? So whether it is called as sampling frame or sampling error or sampling gap or sampling units, obviously it is called as the sampling units because these are the units, right? So for example, I have 1000 people of population, and this population is need to be sampled, and that's why it is divided into different units. Okay, S1, S2, S3, S4. So these are the 4 units. So basically this is called as one of the sampling unit, this is called as another sampling unit, this is called as sampling unit, this is called as sampling unit, and that's why your correct answer should be 4 over here. Okay, and a sampling frame basically is the frame, okay, from or you can say which includes all the samples that already we have selected for a study. So this is called as the sampling frame. But sampling units basically includes the units, okay, of the population to be sampled. Okay, and it does not give the guarantee that it includes all the participants which are selected for the study, but sampling frame includes all the population or participants which are selected for the study. And all of you now understood that error, here the sampling error causes because of the wrong selection of sample size, and as well because of the wrong selection of the sampling technique that we are going to see in the next video, so don't worry. And sampling gap means the gap which is there between the sampling procedures. Okay, next, which of the following are steps in sampling process? Now here they have given some steps of sampling process, and we need to find out exactly which of these are the steps in sampling process, whether they are defining target population, whether selecting and identifying the sample method, or choosing sampling frame, or all of the above. So students, all of these basically are the steps in sampling process. So first of all, we need to define the target population, which is the most important step, and after that we need to select the sample from the population, and for that we need to identify which type of sampling method we need to choose, whether we need to choose probability sampling method or we need to choose non probability sampling procedure. We are going to see this things in the next part of this video, so don't worry. And as well we need to choose the sampling frame that I have told you earlier, right, which includes what? Sampling frame basically includes all the participants which are selected for the study. Okay, and that's why all of these are the steps in sampling process. So that's why your correct answer should be over here 4. Okay, so let us see step by step what are the different steps in sequence in sampling process. So first of all, you need to define the target population. What would be your target population? Okay, then you need to decide exactly what type of sampling method you are going to use, whether you are going to use probability sampling method or non probability sampling method. Then select, okay, the sampling frame or choose the sampling frame. Okay, so these are basically the steps in sequence, okay, in sampling process. Okay, that's why your correct answer should be 4. So students, thank you for watching this session. I hope all of you understood exactly what are the characteristics of sampling techniques, and as well what is the importance of it, why we use it in the research methodology. And in the next part of this video or in the tomorrow's video, I am going to teach you about exactly what are the different probability sampling techniques and as well non-probability sampling techniques. And these concepts are really important to all of you, because on such concepts, every year you will be asking 3 to 4 questions. Okay, so you need to know exactly what are the sampling techniques, what are the different types of sampling techniques. Okay, so but still, if you have any doubts regarding this video, you can ask me in the comment box of this video.